There are now two distinct public money for private education school choice bills working through the Statehouse. Senate Bill 1025 was sent through the Senate Education Committee Monday, and House Bill 93 passed out of the House Revenue and Taxation Committee yesterday. And one would think they could be in a race or on a collision course toward the governor's office. But that's, of course, we're assuming each bill clears its own floor and then each chamber takes the other side's version seriously. And for the last few years, these bills have come up. Several things have happened. The majority of those who testify or email lawmakers, vast majority of them, are opposed to them. And we also get several questions about them, which is what happened yesterday when we covered the House version. Like this one. Why not base school choice money on Idaho tax forms? If parents make more than, say, X number of dollars, they do not qualify for public money, says Sandy in Meridian. Well, Sandy, both of these bills kind of sort of do that. Both House Bill 93 and Senate Bill 1025 give priority to lower income families. With 93, that tax credit bill, that would favor families making less than $94,000 a year. And with 1025, the expansion of the Empowering Parents Program bill, 75% of its grants would go to those under the $60,000 a year threshold. After that, well, both bills then just open up applications to everyone. How about this question? How much will these two bills cost to administer, which will reduce total dollars for the state budget for other needed items, says Rick. Well, Rick, neither says the state will take a long-term hit when it comes to administration costs, although the tax credit bill, that would be House Bill 93, would ask for a one-time $125,000 bump from the general fund to set up the computer system to run the program. That program, according to the bill sponsors, will then be run by two full-time tax commission employees. With two openings at the agency right now, they say that money is already covered under that budget. As for the Senate Bill 1025, since it would exist under the two-year-old Empowering Parents Program, well, their administration costs would be covered under their established $600,000 budget. Those aren't the only differences, though, between these two bills. Senate Bill 1025.
The education system that has served us so well, we may have come to a point where it's time to hit the reset button.
And House Bill 93.
And school choice, first and foremost, is about kids and families, and it's not about the type of school or the type of system.
Both could cost the state of Idaho $50 million. With House Bill 93, it's more of an addition by subtraction, though.
We don't know fully what the demand will be.
While not withdrawing money from the general fund, with a tax credit, there's a potential for $50 million not being added to it.
Or if you're familiar with funding in districts, you know that there's a certain amount of money that goes towards special ed, but often that money is inadequate of the cost.
With Senate Bill 1025, $30 million of that will go towards special education to help fill that $80 million gap in state funding. The other $20 million will be added to the existing Empowering Parents Program. With that extra money, it would raise the yearly Empowering grants from $1,000 per student to $5,000. But there's a cap of $15,000 per family. As for House Bill 93, each family could claim up to $5,000 per student or $7,500 for special needs students. But there's no ceiling.
You have to have actually incurred the expenses.
So a family could claim a tax credit for 5 kids, and that could mean $25,000 in public money going to private school education. Both bills give a priority to lower income families. But for 1025, it's a bit lower. 95% of the money would be reserved for those making less than $80,000 a year. With 93, that preference goes to families living at 300% of the poverty level, or $93,600 a year.
If they want to participate with public dollars, we as policymakers have a stewardship to be accountable for those dollars.
As for accountability, well, one has more than the other. With 1025, the eligible expenses must follow Empowering Parents guidelines. The private school has to be accredited by the state board, and they have to comply with special education, parental rights, and non-discrimination laws. Non-public schools do have to keep enrollment and performance data. They also have to offer a national standardized test and complete criminal background checks on employees. Those rules don't apply to 93.
The accountability built into this legislation also starts and ends with parents.
However, qualified non-public schools will have to teach the basic subjects. That'd be English, math, science, and social studies. But private schools do not have to change their admissions policies or their curriculum. While they don't have to show performance through testing, parents who homeschool their kids must keep a record to show students' growth
that demonstrates that those 4 academic subjects were covered in the instruction
And all parents must fill out a satisfaction and engagement survey. So there's a survey. Currently, the Empowering Parents program does not allow for grant money to be used for private school tuition. This would change that if that bill goes forward. And with House Bill 93, the tax credit would be retroactive to the 1st of this year. And lower income families who currently can't afford private school, well, they can apply for a one-time advance tax payment. There's an option to get that, to get them started on that program. But just to add a little more fun into the mix, and since it's unsure if either side of the State House will play nice with the other's bill, there was a third school choice option introduced today, and this one brings us back to vouchers. This morning, Representative Lance Klaus stepped to the podium in the House Education Committee and laid out his Idaho Education Opportunity Program, what he calls the true school choice option.
Some people would say we have choice. We have public schools, we have charter schools, we have home schools, we have open enrollment, and we have private schools, and the people currently have a choice at all those things. However, low-income families often have single parents who would find several of these choices very difficult to reach out and bring to reality.
So Representative Klaus said with House Bill 164, funding would follow the student, meaning 80% of what the state spends per student could now go with that student to another private school. 20% then would stay with the school district where that student lives. Right now, that would be about $6,750 going into an account, and the district would then get about $1,700. Now, stop me if this kind of sounds remarkably similar to the Freedom and Education Savings Account bill the Senate tried to run in 2023. And if you think that, well, you're right. It is a school voucher. However, Cloud did change a couple of things with this current bill. Like special ed students would get 100% of the funding, or $8,440. If you're enrolled in a private school already, like right now, well, then you're not eligible for this program. But you could qualify for a tax credit under this bill. And homeschool students who take part in this voucher program, well, they would no longer technically be a homeschool student because they'd be required to take a standardized test. And get this, money left over in the account would then be able to be rolled over year to year, and it could be used for post-high school education. So how much would this bill cost? Well, according to the, fiscal the fiscal accruement here would be $21 million for the voucher program, and then another $8.7 million in lost income for tax revenue. So again, we'll kind of see which way these things go. We're still watching those two front runners that are in the Senate and the House, but this one could come up from behind and pass them. We'll see.